The sound of a typewriter echoed through the dimly lit office. A man in a black suit and fedora is typing away, his eyes never leaving the page. This is Agent X, a top-secret agent for the government. He is known for his quick wit, charm, and creativity. He is the one who always gets the job done, no matter what it takes. Agent X's boss, a man known only as the Director, enters the room, looking as serious as ever. "Agent X, we have a new mission for you." Agent X looks up, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "What's the situation?" "Our intel has indicated that a dangerous criminal organization has been operating in the city of Zephyr. We need you to go there, find out what they're up to, and stop them." Agent X nods. "I'm on it." The Director hands him a file. "Here's everything you need to know. The city of Zephyr is located in the country of Azura, a small island in the Pacific Ocean. The criminal organization goes by the name of the Shadow Syndicate, and they are known for their cunning and deadly tactics. Be careful, Agent X." Agent X nods. "I always am." He packs his bags and sets off for Azura, ready for whatever challenges lie ahead. When he arrives in Zephyr, he immediately blends in with the locals. He quickly learns that the Shadow Syndicate is a group of cunning and ruthless criminals who will stop at nothing to achieve their goals. Agent X begins to gather information, using his charm and wit to gather information from the locals. He soon discovers that the Shadow Syndicate is planning to steal a rare and valuable artifact from the local museum. Agent X decides to get a closer look at the museum and disguises himself as a tour guide. He shows the visitors around the museum, all the while keeping an eye out for any suspicious activity. Just as he suspected, he sees a group of Shadow Syndicate members attempting to break into the museum. Agent X quickly springs into action, using his gadgets and cunning to stop them. "You won't get away with this," he exclaims, pulling out his trusty grappling hook and swinging into action. The Shadow Syndicate members are no match for Agent X, who quickly takes them down. He grabs the artifact and returns it to the museum, where it belongs. As he leaves the museum, Agent X is approached by a beautiful young woman named Amelia. "Thank you for stopping those criminals," she says with a smile. Agent X nods. "Just doing my job." Amelia reveals that she is a local detective who has been working on the case of the Shadow Syndicate. She and Agent X team up, working together to uncover the truth and put an end to the Shadow Syndicate once and for all. As they work together, Agent X and Amelia find themselves growing closer. They embark on a series of daring adventures and exciting mysteries, all the while keeping the world safe from the Shadow Syndicate. But their journey is far from over. The Shadow Syndicate is more powerful and cunning than they ever imagined, and it will take all of their combined skills and intelligence to defeat them. Will Agent X and Amelia be able to stop the Shadow Syndicate and save the world? Find out in the next chapter of this thrilling and entertaining series. Agent X and Detective Amelia had been working together for weeks, gathering information on the Shadow Syndicate and their next move. They had finally discovered the location of the Syndicate's hideout and were ready to put their plan into action. "We need to get in, find out what they're up to, and stop them," Agent X said, outlining the plan. Amelia nodded. "I agree, but we need to be careful. The Shadow Syndicate is not to be underestimated." Agent X smiled. "Don't worry. I have a plan." That night, Agent X and Amelia snuck into the Shadow Syndicate's hideout, disguised as members of the cleaning crew. They made their way through the dark and creepy hallways, listening for any sounds of the Syndicate's activity. As they approached the main control room, they heard voices. Agent X put his ear to the door and listened carefully. "We've got the plans for the heist," one of the Syndicate members was saying. "We just need to wait for the right moment to strike." Agent X and Amelia quickly sprang into action, using their gadgets and skills to take down the Syndicate members one by one. "We need to find out what they're planning to steal," Amelia said, searching through the files on the desk. Agent X nodded. "I'll take care of the guards." Just then, the door to the control room burst open, and the Shadow Syndicate's leader, a man known only as the Shadow, entered the room. "What are you doing here?" he demanded, pulling out a gun. Agent X and Amelia quickly sprang into action, using their skills and gadgets to dodge the Shadow's shots and take him down. "We've got to get out of here before the rest of the Syndicate arrives," Amelia said, grabbing the files and leading the way out of the hideout. Once they were safely back at their hotel, they quickly went through the files, looking for any information on the Shadow Syndicate's next heist. "It's a bank in the heart of the city," Agent X said, reading through the plans. "They're planning to steal a rare diamond that's on display in the bank's vault." Amelia nodded. "We've got to stop them. We can't let them get their hands on that diamond." Agent X smiled. "Don't worry, I have a plan." The next day, Agent X and Amelia arrived at the bank, disguised as bank employees. They blended in with the crowd, keeping an eye out for any suspicious activity. Just as they suspected, the Shadow Syndicate arrived, ready to steal the diamond. But Agent X and Amelia were one step ahead. Using their skills and gadgets, they were able to stop the syndicate and retrieve the diamond, keeping it out of the wrong hands. As they left the bank, Agent X and Amelia couldn't help but feel proud of their work. They had successfully stopped the Shadow Syndicate and kept the world a little bit safer. But their journey was far from over. The Shadow Syndicate was not defeated, and they were already planning their next move. Will Agent X and Amelia be able to stop the Shadow Syndicate once and for all? Find out in the final chapter of this exciting and entertaining series. Agent X and Detective Amelia had been working tirelessly, gathering intelligence on the Shadow Syndicate and their next move. They had finally discovered the location of their secret base and were ready to put their plan into action. "We need to take them down once and for all," Amelia said, determination in her voice. Agent X nodded. "I agree. We can't let them continue their evil ways." That night, Agent X and Amelia snuck into the Shadow Syndicate's base, ready for the final showdown. As they made their way through the dark and creepy halls, they could hear the sounds of the Syndicate's activity. They reached the main control room and burst through the door, ready for action. But to their surprise, the Shadow Syndicate was waiting for them, their weapons drawn. The room was filled with the sounds of gunfire and shouting as Agent X and Amelia used their skills and gadgets to take down the Syndicate members one by one. But the Shadow was not so easily defeated. He pulled out a weapon that was unlike anything they had ever seen before. "You'll never defeat me," he laughed, firing the weapon at Agent X and Amelia. But Agent X was quick to react. He pulled out his own weapon, a high-tech gadget that he had been saving for just such an occasion. He aimed it at the Shadow's weapon and fired. The room was filled with a bright light as the two weapons collided, creating a massive explosion. When the smoke cleared, Agent X and Amelia were standing in the middle of a crater, the Shadow Syndicate's base completely destroyed. "We did it," Amelia breathed a sigh of relief. "We finally took down the Shadow Syndicate." Agent X smiled. "Yes, but we couldn't have done it without you. You were a great partner." Amelia smiled back. "And you were a great secret agent. I have to admit it was pretty exciting working with you." As they left the wreckage of the Shadow Syndicate's base, Agent X and Amelia couldn't help but feel proud of their work. They had successfully stopped the Shadow Syndicate and kept the world a little bit safer. But their journey was far from over. There were still other villains to defeat and other adventures to be had. But for now, Agent X and Amelia were just happy to have each other as friends and partners.